Shera was shocked to learn that the Kingdom of Greenwood was willing to kaboom their friendly neighbors over her. Sylvie confirmed the truth of the situation, and Shera turned to Diablo, asking if he would accept the quest from her and the City Lord to prevent the war. Diablo hesitated internally, not because he was contemplating his next OP move, but because he was thinking about all the paperwork this quest might involve. But then, Sylvie revealed that Shera's brother, Keera, had gone all wanted dead or alive and slapped a mega bounty on her head. This cranked Diablo's rage meter straight to 100%, pushing him to accept the quest and agree to meet with the Lord of the City. Upon arrival, they were greeted by Chester Ray Galford, the Lord of the City, who had the personality of a stoic JRPG final boss. Sylvie managed to get the introductions rolling, but Diablo, despite his inner monologue reaching light Yagami levels of intensity, managed to spit out his name without too much stuttering. Galford, clearly unimpressed, casually mentioned that the grapevine was buzzing with rumors about Diablo being a demon lord from another world. Naturally, Diablo leaned into his role, delivering a line so over the top, even Vegeta would have rolled his eyes. While the squad was flustered, Galford barely blinked and carried on with the quest deets. Galford suggested that the situation could easily be resolved if Shera surrendered herself to the Kingdom of Greenwood, but Diablo refused to allow this. When Galford questioned why Shera would leave her cushy royal digs, she confessed that her dreams involved more than just sitting in a pretty palace. Diablo supported her, stating that while freedom was difficult to achieve, it was a worthy goal as long as one remained true to their path. Satisfied with the responses, Galford introduced Alicia Christella, an Imperial Knight from the capital. Alicia instantly hit it off with Shera, showering her with all the wholesome best girl energy. Meanwhile, Diablo was busy calculating his social skill stat, which was clearly in the negative. Alicia then caught him off guard by praising him for protecting Fortress City from the Fallen. Flustered by her compliments, Diablo thanked her, but insisted she never speak so casually with him. Alicia respectfully agreed to his demand. After this, the crew leveled up their gear and headed to the weaponsmith, where Diablo bought a scythe, because why wield a basic sword when you can look like the Grim Reaper from a mecha anime? However, their shopping spree was cut short when they got ambushed by bounty hunters who had the same old kidnapped Shera quest of their own. Diablo, Alicia, and Emile, who showed up late like a classic shonen rival character, quickly wiped the floor with them. That afternoon, Emile explained that he learned about the bounty on Shera from the Adventurers Guild. When asked about his plans for the captured bounty hunters, Emile declared that he intended to teach them a lesson for disrespecting women. With Emile out of the picture, Diablo shared a brief moment with Shera, concerned about her well-being now that she was a target. Rem joined the conversation, and Alicia apologized for her failure to prevent the kidnapping. Diablo, however, told her to be more compassionate with herself, although Alicia's enthusiastic agreement was the opposite of what Diablo intended. As the heartfelt moment faded, the sound of a rumbling stomach interrupted. Everyone would be expecting it to be Diablo, because let's be real, it's always the main guy. But surprisingly, it was Alicia instead. The group decided to grab some food, immediately launching into an epic debate over which ramen shop had the best Naruto fish cakes, as they wandered through the city streets. At the Peace of Mind Inn cafeteria, things were pretty chill until Celeste came in, looking like she had some juicy plot development to drop. She revealed she'd found someone who might just have the hack to remove those pesky slave collars from Rem and Shera. And who's the lucky NPC with this OP skill? A slave merchant who'd recently set up shop in the market. Makes total sense why this lowlife would have such power. Alicia, however, raised the concern of prioritizing their mission involving the Kingdom of Greenwood. Despite this, Diablo decided that resolving the issue with slave collars was bringing Sasuke back to the village level important. The group headed to the slave market, where Diablo was initially surprised by the treatment of the slaves. They were greeted by Medeos, the owner of the establishment, who mistakenly assumed Diablo was there to sell one of his slaves. Offended, Diablo, channeling his inner JoJo character, unleashed a menacing aura so intense, even Shera's hair seemed to defy gravity. Shera could casually see Diablo's magical power, leaving Rem and Alicia with their jaws practically on the floor. After reading the letter from Celeste explaining Rem and Shera's situation, Medeiros agreed to help. She also sensed some strange magical vibes from Rem and inquired if she might be pregnant with a demon child. This led to a brief exchange between Rem and Shera, and Medeiros speculated that the energy might be from a Fallon. Eager to remove the slave collars, Diablo demanded they focus on that task. Feeling unwell, Rem decided to wait outside, and Alicia accompanied her, leading to a heartfelt conversation between the two. Meanwhile, inside the caravan, Medeiros explained that removing the collars was going to be a mix of magical flow manipulation and some rather personal contact. Diablo, with his over-the-top OP powers, started the ritual like a pro, impressing Medeiros and maybe showing off a little. But just when things were getting intense, Diablo stopped short of completing it. Why? Because this wasn't some low-level magic. This was endgame level sorcery. Diablo didn't want to risk a bad ending, so he decided to play it safe. As Alicia was about to retire to her room at the inn, the sound of a flute was heard. Standing outside the room was a young male elf, Shera's older brother, Keera, who cordially introduced himself to the group. Furious, Diablo confronted Keera about the bounty he placed on Shera's head. Keera confirmed his involvement and acknowledged the bounty hunter's failure to capture her. Despite Diablo's open refusal to hand Shera over, Keera remained calm, stating he was simply glad to see his sister in good health. He attempted to shift the blame for the bounty and the threat of war onto their father. Shera, however, was not fooled by her brother's act, and Rem supported her, saying she trusted Shera's judgment. Not wanting to escape the situation, Keera left, but not before mentioning that he would return the following day. He posed a question. What if Shera decided to return to Greenwood of her own free will? Diablo dismissed the idea, confident that Shera would never consider it. Later, Rem and Shera had a conversation that quickly escalated into a playful scuffle, showing the close bond between them. Meanwhile, in the Kingdom of Greenwood, Keera stood atop a tall tree, playing his flute. After finishing, he ominously declared that Shera would be his again, and that she would bear his child, revealing his dark intentions. Those are some Bowser vibes there, but from Sweet Home Alabama. Diablo dreamed of his childhood, recalling a painful memory where two kids he considered friends were merely using him to acquire stronger equipment in a game. He awakened from the dream, finding himself in an awkward but heavenly situation, with juicy melons on his face. Of course, he did nothing about it. Afterward, Rem left with Alicia to report their encounter with Keera to Celeste and Galford. Left alone with Shera, Diablo began creating potions in preparation for the challenges ahead. Much to his surprise, his potion-making skills were on point, like he just unlocked some hidden crafting perk. During a heart-to-heart conversation with Shera, they suddenly heard the sound of a flute. Entranced, Shera expressed a desire to return to her home in the Kingdom of Greenwood. Right on cue, Keera rolled up with a conveniently placed wagon. Under the flute's spell, Shera climbed aboard and vanished into the distance, leaving Diablo standing there, as stunned as if someone had just unplugged his console mid-game. Rem and Alicia returned to find Diablo staring off into the distance, like he'd just been hit with the ultimate plot twist. She asked if Shera could have been hypnotized by Keera, to which Diablo confirmed, noting that Keera's flute was likely the cause, for she got fire music for real, reflecting on his past mistakes and how he was once again taken advantage of by people he considered friends. Diablo felt a deep sense of regret. Determined to rescue Shera, Rem asked what Diablo planned to do next, and after some reflection, he resolved to get her back. Alicia also volunteered to join them, forming a full party to confront Keera. Meanwhile, in a tent in the Kingdom of Greenwood, Shera, now captured and chained to the wall, was told by her brother that escaping was futile due to the powers of the elven flute. Keera interrogated Shera, demanding to know what orders Diablo had given her. Shera truthfully responded that the only order Diablo ever gave was for her to shake Rem's hand with a smile. Keera, infuriated, refused to believe such a simple order and remained confident that Shera was under his control. However, their conversation was interrupted by a giant explosion outside. Angered by the disturbance, Keera released a fabric-eating slime, which began to take Shera's clothes off the menu. As Shera cried for help, Diablo, Rem, and Alicia arrived just in time to rescue her. Seeing Shera's predicament, Diablo expressed his regret for not dealing with Keera earlier, even if it meant destroying everything around him. He used his scythe to free Shera from her chains, killing the slime in the process. Furious at his guard's failure, Diablo taunted Keera for not noticing the commotion outside earlier. Keera stepped outside and was shocked to find not only had his guards been sent to Jesus, but the entire area had been set ablaze. He accused Diablo of wanting to start a war with the elves, but Diablo clarified that his motive was to confirm whether Shera truly wished to return home of her own free will. When asked for proof, Keera manipulated Shera with his magic, compelling her to say that she wanted to return to the Kingdom of Greenwood. However, Diablo countered Keera's manipulation by using Shera's slave collar to dispel the magic. Shera tearfully declared that she wanted to be free and stay with Diablo and Rem forever. Backed into a corner, Keera summoned the Elven Kingdom's treasure, the Hydra. Despite Shera's warnings, Diablo stepped forward fearlessly, ready to face the monstrous creature. Diablo and his crew rolled up on their next big challenge, a Hydra straight out of some overpowered boss fight DLC. This wasn't just any Hydra, it was a mega summon brought to life by the Kingdom of Greenwood, with multiple heads and a bad attitude. Despite Shera's warnings about the creature's strength, Diablo was determined to defeat it. He was excited to face the Hydra because it, just like Keera's flute, was not part of the original Cross Reverie game. Diablo started the battle by using a spell called Heaven's Fall to destroy one of the Hydra's heads off in a flashy display of magic fireworks, only to have it grow back instantly, with the Hydra hitting back with a wind attack so strong it practically blew his cloak off like he was in some anime wind tunnel. Since Diablo could only reflect magical attacks, this physical assault put him at a disadvantage. And if one wind attack wasn't enough, all four heads decided to go full concert mode, blowing wind everywhere and turning Diablo's day into an airbender's nightmare. While Diablo was busy dodging wind attacks like he was in a Touhou game, Shera yelled out that the Hydra's core was the key to defeating it. Keera, however, explained that the Hydra's core moved within its body, making it nearly impossible to find, even less possible than Zoro finding his location. Using this information, Diablo managed to slide under the Hydra and used another spell, Matoi Izuna, which destroyed the monster. With the Hydra reduced to experience points, Diablo turned his attention to Keera, clearly ready to hit him with some major justice. But just when he was about to unleash a finishing move, Shera jumped in front of Keera. Despite her absolute hatred for him, emotionally stood in front of Keera to protect him as he was still her family. Just then, Celsior, who was wounded, arrived and tried to attack Keera, but was quickly knocked down by Galford, who appeared with his soldiers. Galford explained he showed Keera his game over screen, and then ordered his men to handle the scattered elven soldiers and capture Shera. Diablo questioned if this was part of Galford's plan to control the elven forest, but Galford did not answer. Instead, he trapped Diablo in a magical sphere meant for capturing monsters. Alicia tried to reason with Galford, pointing out that the elven forces had surrendered, but Galford insisted his actions were justified by his military judgment. Alicia drew her sword to stop him, but Galford easily broke it like glass, revealing his superior strength. Diablo was amazed by Galford's strength, realizing he was above level 100. Diablo managed to break free from the magical trap by sensing and destroying its core. The battle between Diablo and Galford began. Galford, taking advantage of Diablo's surprise, stayed close, throwing punches faster than a One Punch Man sequence. But Diablo, not to be outdone, cast Supermine, scattering explosive traps everywhere like he was playing Bomberman. When Galford triggered one, Diablo followed up with Freeze Zone, encasing Galford in ice like an enemy in a Final Fantasy game. Galford broke free, and just as he was about to finish Diablo with a powerful attack, Diablo used Lightning Bullet to defeat him. Galford, struggling to get up, asked why Diablo wouldn't finish him off. Diablo, staying in character, said he was no longer interested in Galford, finding him unworthy. Galford threatened to report Diablo to the authorities, but Alicia countered with an Uno reverse card, saying she'd report Galford's questionable actions instead. Diablo, always up for a rematch, promised he'd face Galford again if it came to that. Seeing he'd been outplayed in every way, Galford reluctantly withdrew his troops, and Rem approached Diablo, asking for portions for the wounded elven soldiers. Later, at the inn with no peace of mind, in Fortress City, Diablo reflected on the events and his drained mental state. Sylvie arrived with a potion to help in his MP recovery, and the two drank it together. Diablo became intoxicated and mistakenly treated Sylvie a tad bit too cultured, leading to her frustration. Master Roshi in Jiraiya would be proud. Despite her protests, he fell asleep still holding her, which upset her further.